Don't Quote Me, the game which picks up failed prophecies and puts them down. Like Robert Maxwell's slogan for his new London paper, "For the city that never sleeps, the paper that never stops." The Daily News lasted 5 months. Playing the game tonight are Robert Robinson's favourite sociologist, Laurie Taylor, and next to him, the man who has been called the Gordon Banks of nasty moments, Clive Anderson. And on the other side, with big ideas, a big budget and a big suit to match, eyewitness editor Trevor Phillips. And next to him, a man who has followed in Nigel Lawson's footsteps, as editor of The Spectator, that is, columnist George Gale. Right, this first round is called Who Said What About Whom. Can you spot the verbal links between these faces? And from left to right, they are Gorbachev, Bianca Jagger, Britt Ekland, Warren Beatty, the Prime Minister and Ronald Reagan. So, George, we'll start with you. Who of this lot, who said about whom, "I don't resent their popularity or anything else. Good Lord, I co-starred with Errol Flynn once."
Well, no, I don't know. I suppose Ronald Reagan could have conceivably co-starred with Errol Flynn.
Co-starred with a monkey, so certainly.
That's right. And but who
Margaret Thatcher co-starred.
Yes, that's quite.
Ronald Reagan, right? So who was he talking about in that case? Do you think?
I don't know. I mean, Gorbachev. No, he couldn't have said that. What?
I think it's probably
Gorbachev.
Reagan on Gorbachev.
Yes.
It was Reagan on Gorbachev. Yes, absolutely right. Right, Laurie, who said about whom, "He handles women as easily as operating an elevator. He knows precisely which buttons to press." Well, I think that rules out Reagan.
Well, I mean, the person who's done the most button pressing, I would have thought was probably Warren, wasn't it? Warren Beatty would have done the most button pressing, and if they were talking about...
Strange euphemism,
it is, isn't it, really? Yes.
He has...
sort of like, yes, and I know it's not a very nice, I suppose,
no.
but that...
Using the finger.
But I would have thought that the person...
Normally it's present.
Well, right, yes.
Taking the lift up to their apartment you're talking about, of course, aren't you?
I'm not talking about it at all. This wasn't me. I'm not even on the list of it.
I would have thought the person, as it were, who was able to make a comment upon sort of Warren Beatty's aptitude with the G-spot or whatever particular button in the lift he was pressing would probably be Britt Ekland.
Britt Ekland on Warren Beatty. It was Britt Ekland on Warren Beatty, yes.
I don't think the analogy works there. You say that the G-spot would just get you to the ground floor, which is... well, maybe it doesn't work. I don't know. Maybe the ground floor is where you're aiming there, yes.
Trevor, who said about whom, "I like her because she is one of the few women I know who has as much class and style as I have"?
Good God.
That's Margaret Thatcher about herself.
Yes, I was going to say. Well, which one of these would say that about the other?
Guess that was a question I asked you.
It's a woman talking about a woman.
Well, that's brilliant.
I think it's brilliant.
It must be about.
Well, this is my journalistic training coming out like.
Must be about Thatcher.
It's got to be about Thatcher, and I...
Right.
It's... Bianca Jagger, would she have something to say about Margaret Thatcher?
I think it's more likely to be Britt Ekland, but I mean, I think she.
Does Britt Ekland know who Margaret Thatcher is?
I think she thinks she has style.
OK, Britt Ekland on Margaret Thatcher.
No, I can pass it over to the other side.
Well, that's going to be... that must be... Yeah, that sounds like Britt Ekland talking about Bianca Jagger. It's the sort of silly thing Britt Ekland might say. No, I don't think that,
no. No, because she's...
I was just saying for a joke.
No, you were saying it for a joke. No, I just spotted the joke just in time because it's difficult to tell with you. Yeah. But I thought for a second... No.
What are you...
No, I'm sorry, I thought
What are you professor of, exactly?
For a second, I thought you were in the other team.
Yeah.
But...
For a second, I will be.
I would No, I would have thought that would be somebody talking about Margaret Thatcher, and I would have thought it would be Bianca talking about Margaret Thatcher.
Well, Prof, that's the Prof's answer. So Bianca about...
It's a shame because Clive was right. Well, he was almost right. It was Bianca Jagger talking about Britt Ekland.
Wasn't it? You went. Yes.
He got the right name.
He's causing trouble.
Right, Clive.
Yes.
Who said to whom, "So we had an affair. You must be pretty bad. I don't even remember you."
Well, now, the ones on this list who are famous for having affairs and things, I think... I hope I'm not maligning him. Warren Beatty, I think, has a bit of a reputation in that regard.
Yeah.
Britt Ekland has as you know...
Many people have lain back and thought of Eckland.
Yes. Very good, Geoffrey.
I'm going to join the professor on the other team as well.
Well, it must be, I would say it's got to be...
Reagan
Warren
on
Beatty.
Thatcher?
Could be Reagan on Thatcher, but I think it was Warren Beatty on Britt Eklund.
But that's just a bit of gossip, isn't it? No, it's wrong. I'll pass it to the other side.
I was flailing around there.
Who said to whom, so we had an affair, you must be pretty bad, I don't even remember you.
Well, I think we've got to go for one of those about him.
I think it's Jagger.
It's Jagger, not Eckland, yeah. Well,
I'll have to...
go on. Well, I don't know.
Britt Eklund about Warren Beatty.
No, it was Bianca Jagger to Warren Beatty, in fact. So there you go. Well, that's the end of that round. The scores are dead equal on 15 points each. Right, this next round is against the clock. You have 1 minute to recognise as many quotes as you can from the year I've chosen for you. And Clive, we'll start with you. Your year is going to be 1989.
Was that the easy round we started with then?
Yes.
No, 1989, yes, that's
Okay.
a year ago.
Yep.
Yes.
Who, you've become a bit of a television professional, haven't you, really?
I was hoping to be paid for tonight, but...
Right, your question
know.
about 1989.
1989, right.
Who said to David Frost in 1989, I think male prime ministers will one day come back into fashion?
Lord, is people still thinking to David Frost in 1989? Margaret Thatcher.
It was, yes,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
not rating Edwina Curry's chances. Who was the last male prime minister?
The last male prime minister?
Yes.
Well, that's easy. That was Jim Callaghan.
Yes.
But that's not a quote, is it?
No, but it was just a test
Oh, you
of
test
memory,
me out.
really.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Geoffrey said it.
Who said about her breast reduction, if I had big bones, a big behind and wide hips, it would have been different. But I'm not a big woman. Now I will be able to wear the same clothes, but they will actually fit me.
Well, I'm tempted to say Margaret Thatcher again, but I have a funny feeling it might be Dolly Parton.
Very likely. It's Katie Boyle. in
Katie
fact.
Boyle,
Yes.
all right.
Who promised this in 1989? Living standards are rising and the economy is going ahead very satisfactorily. I expect a further rise and further growth.
Well, it's obviously some shamefaced Conservative politician, Nigel Lawson.
Yes, he was Nigel Lawson.
Yeah.
Plenty of growth for him. Anyway, still on coming down. Who said about his drink problem in 1989? I've been on TV for 28 years, but perhaps this will be the year when I won't.
Ooh, it's a bit dodgy question to guess at, isn't it?
Yes. A television person with a drink problem? Unlikely, but...
Yes, well, it can't be... Reggie Bosanquet was always the traditional one, allegedly having a drink problem. He's no longer
He used to
has a
sue
drink
for
problem.
that as well.
Not anymore, he doesn't.
He hosted Does the Team Drink, I think.
I don't want to be sued out of my life. It obviously isn't. I'll say Griff Rhys-Jones, but is on the basis he's unlikely to sue.
You're wrong. He will sue. In fact, it was Leslie Crowther.
Leslie Crowther
Yes.
had a drink problem.
Yes. Yep. You got.
He was at the Cracker Jack barrel again.
You got 3 right and 15 points, Clive.
Oh. Have a breast reduction.
Right. Trevor, your year's going to be 1983.
I was asleep.
Yeah. Right. Here are your questions then. A minute on 1983. Which comedian in 1983 said of his new lineup, I'm striking a blow for the fuller figure. By the end of the series, every woman will want to be fat. Comedian who introduced some people called the roly-polies into his show.
Oh, is it Les Dawson?
It is Les Dawson, yes.
Right, very
Who said about violence against the elderly, I would go further than that. I would have people flogged until they begged for mercy. Well-known charitable figure.
Mother Teresa.
It has the Norman Tebbit feel about it, but it wasn't him.
No, it was James Anderson, Chief Consul of
Anderson.
Greater
Oh,
Manchester.
yes.
Which
Voices.
member of the government said on 1983, why with more than 3 million unemployed could I not get someone to mend my garden gate?
That was Tebbit.
It sounds very like
was
Tebbit because it
Tebbit.
was him, yes. Which breakfast television presenter said in 83, I wouldn't dream of appearing on a show wearing a sweater?
Good grief, that was breakfast
Said
television.
it wasn't
in
Frank
1983.
Boff.
Seems such a long time ago. Anne Diamond, no, not Anne Diamond. Breakfast.
Yeah, a breakfast television presenter said in 83, I wouldn't dream of appearing on a show wearing a sweater.
Peter J.
No.
No.
No, it was Michael Parkinson, in fact.
God, I didn't remember him.
No.
That's his problem, I think.
If he wore a nice colourful sweater, you'd have remembered him much better, wouldn't you? Right, Trevor, you've got 2 right and 10 points. Laurie, your year is 1965.
Okay.
1965. So, here are your questions on 1965. Which American said of censorship in 1965, "They are doing things on screen now that I wouldn't do in bed, even if I could"? American comedian?
Something like, not Mae West, wasn't it? But Bob, it sounded like a sort of fast. We'll try Bob Hope then.
It was Bob Hope,
Well
yes.
done.
Why
Good,
did
you can
Why did Quentin Hogg say to the Liberals in 1965, "You now need 2 taxes instead of 1"?
Because they managed to acquire 2 members of Parliament after, I don't know, after Orpington.
No, there was a by-election victory won by somebody. Do you know who it was?
Lubbock.
No.
No.
It was David Steele, in fact.
David
brought
Steele,
the numbers up to 10.
right.
About which programme did the BBC say in 1965, "We don't want sex in the show"?
We don't want sex in the show. They were talking about crackerjack. No, that was drink, wasn't it? They were keeping drink out of the show.
More controversial than crackerjack?
More controversial.
More controversial. That's my line. What's your line?
It was the Sooty Show. In fact, the Sooty Show.
Sooty Show.
After Harry Corbett introduced a
You can
character
do nasty things with a glove
Jezebel.
puppet.
Right, you got 1 right, Laurie, and 5 points. Right, George, your year is going to be 1972. Okay, 1972? Right, here's your minute on 1972 then. If you take 2 miners earning £20 a week, they will have to work 50 years before they will make what we give this young twerp in a year. Who is Willie Hamilton referring to? If you take 2 miners earning £20 a week, they will have to work 50 years before they will make what we give this young twerp in a year.
Prince of Wales?
It was about Prince Charles, yes. The House of Commons made him withdraw the remark. Which magazine gave its readers an indication of its future star when it was launched in 1972 with advice on how to turn a man on when he's having problems in bed? Which magazine launched in...
Cosmo?
It was, yes, Cosmopolitan in 1972.
I'm an avid reader, actually.
Who said in 1972, "At worst, Nixon is likely to be the best of a bad lot. At best, he could become the greatest of the post-war presidents"?
Well, it's a very intelligent remark, which I might have even said myself, but it's also true. I don't know.
Any idea? Nixon could become the greatest of the post-war presidents?
I'd say myself, but I don't think it was.
It was you,
It was.
yes, yes.
He didn't really let you down, did he?
George, you got 3 right and 15 points. Which leaves the scores poised at Laurie and Clive have 35 and Trevor and George have 40. And we'll be back after the break.